Generally medium tempo by our standards, and then in the middle it sort of gets faster and then goes nuts for a brief period. Probably another tune that people might link to some of our previous work because it's harmony guitars and kind of, I don't know, there's an old school metal side to it, even though it's an extreme metal track. We had a lot of fun recording that because we did some feedback guitars and stuff. It wasn't enough to just have power chords. We wanted them to actually be just slightly rolling into feedback. So that was one of the first things we tackled, where we actually had a strong idea about the production values on it. I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, and again, I really like the lyrics on this one. I think this is a cool lyrical concept.
Yeah.
That was one of the last ones we wrote.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. A couple of those riffs were things I wasn't 100% sure would work for the band. I brought them in just because we were trying everything, but I was concerned, would this be too trad in style? Like, is it just too much like old school heavy metal? But once we launched into it, it felt really good, and it sounded like Carcass. So yeah, that went through a few mutations, definitely, as far as the rhythm parts and so forth. But
quite straightforward, kind of.
Yeah.
Good metal something is.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I really like that one.
This is one of my favourites. I'm not sure. I think this was one of the last as well. One of the last couple.
No, it was really one of the last two.
Yeah, again, one of the more intense of the album, I would say. But lots of blast beats.
Just unrelenting. Almost the whole thing is just Slayer speed or blast. And it's kind of
shreddy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts for the pair of us, really, because it's hectic on the drums and also on the guitar. But
a lot of energy, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a tune where you cram a hell of a lot in a short space. So it's not a very long track, but there seems to be quite a lot going on. And it was really an accident that was the first thing that got out there in the public domain. But probably a good thing, because it's a short taste of what the album will be like. You can't possibly encapsulate the whole record in one song. No one could do that, but I'm glad that ended up being the first thing that people heard.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Last tune on the record.
Yeah, that was one of the most fiddled with songs, I would say.
God, yeah.
There's so many different versions of it and incarnations of it. But, I'm not sure if it was one of the ones that we weren't sure about again.
It definitely was, yeah, because
it's very different.
Speaking of myself, and I think you felt the same way. Up until near the end of the tracking sessions, at least a couple of us felt like that was going to be a bonus track. We liked it, but we didn't think it was necessarily going to make the grade. And then at some stage,
it just hit everyone.
It was just so obvious. It was a great closer for the album, because it's the longest thing we've ever done. It's around 8 minutes or so.
Yeah. Crazy.
Some of it's very melodic. Some of it's kind of twisted. Yeah, I'm just delighted with how it turned out. I had no expectation of that nature. And some of the tunes that we thought definitely would be on the record have actually been shunted off to make space for that.
But it's probably the most different, I guess, on the album.
Yeah.
Really. It's a great closer, from going from a potential B-side to being the definite closer of the album. But it's great.
Yeah.